Today's lesson is on solving percent problems using equations. The Indiana Academic Standard is 7.2.2 and 7.2.3. The equation that we're going to use for solving these types of problems is the following, and you should write it down. The percent, written as a decimal, times the whole equals the part. Now these three numbers are the same that we use for the proportion, so the percent is always going to have the percent sign in the problem. You just have to change it into the decimal. The whole is still going to follow the word of, and the part is the number that isn't the percent or the whole. Let's take a look at this first example, finding a percent. What percent of 25 is 5? Well, we don't know the percent, so that's our variable. We're going to take that times our whole. Our whole follows of, so that would be 25, and the part is a 5. That's what we have left over. So you're thinking 25 times n equals 5. Divide both sides by 25. 5 divided by 25 is 0.20. That decimal written as a percent is 20%. So 5 is 20% of 25. Now let's look at the second example, finding a part. What is 20% of 25? Well, I don't really like the way they have this written because they put the variable on the left. And we know the 20%, so we're going to write that as a decimal. That's 0.20. We know the whole because that's 25. Really, I wish they would have written the n, which is the part, to the right-hand side, just the way it's set up. And that's how we'll do the other examples. Well, 0.20 times 25 is 5. So 5 is 20% of 25. For the third example, finding a whole, 20% of what is 5? So we're going to write 20% as a decimal, so we write that as 0.20. We don't know the whole because that follows the of, so that's our variable. And then our part is 5. We would have to divide both sides by 0.20, so 5 divided by 0.20 equals 25. So 20% of 25 is 5. Pause the video at this time if you need more time to copy down the notes. Example number 1, finding a whole. In a school election, one candidate received 81 votes. This was 18% of the votes counted. How many votes were counted? We're going to use the percent equation to help us solve this problem. Remember, the percent equation is the percent, written as a decimal, times the whole equals the part. Let's see if we can apply what we know here. Do we know the percent? Yes, we do. The percent is 18%, so we can write that as a decimal, which is 0.18. Do we know the whole? Well, the whole would follow the of. The of says of the votes counted. We don't know that. That's what we're trying to find. So that's going to be our variable n. And then the part is going to be the 81 votes. So we have 0.18 times n equals 81. Well, to get n by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 0.18. So n equals 450. 450 votes were counted. The correct answer choice is C. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. Remember to write a question down that we can discuss in class tomorrow. Finding a part. What number is 32% of 40? Well, remember our percent equation. Percent written as a decimal times the whole equals the part. In this case, we know the percent is 32%. We know the whole because we have the of 40. We don't know the part. That will be our variable. So we write 32% as a decimal. We're not going to use the examples we have or the boxes they have here. So 0.32 times 40 equals n. 0.32 times 40 is 12.8. So 12.8 is 32% of 40. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. Remember to write a question down that we can discuss in class tomorrow. Example 3, finding a percent of the 257 sandwiches sold at the delicatessen one day, 45 were turkey sandwiches. What percent of the sandwiches were turkey? We're going to use the percent equation again. So let's see what we know. We know the whole because we have the of the 250 sandwiches. What we don't know is the percent. Right there in our question, what percent of the sandwiches were turkey? So our percent is going to be the variable, our whole is going to be the 257, and then the 45 turkey sandwiches is our part. We have 257n, because we always write the number in front of the variable, equals 45. We'll need to divide both sides by 257, so n equals 0.1750972762645.9. Now we get into the whole realm of we have very long decimals. So what we're going to do is we're going to round this to the nearest whole percent. If the directions don't tell you any different, round your answer to the nearest whole percent. Well, this is the decimal form of the percent. So we have to rewrite our answer as a whole number after we've moved the decimal point 2 places. So if we move the decimal point 2 places to the right this time, we have 17.5. Well, 17.5 rounds up to 18%. It's very important when you change the decimal form of the percent into the whole percent that you also add the percent sign. So when you move the decimal point back 2 places to the right, you must have the percent sign. That's why I put the percent sign at the end of the 17.50927762459, and it's also after the 18%. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. Remember to write a question down that we can discuss in class tomorrow. Quick check number 1. A plane flies 54% of its seats empty. If 81 seats are empty, what is the total number of seats on the plane? I'd like you to try this problem on your own. We'll write the percent equation at the top of our paper here so that you can refer to it. You probably have it written already on the page, but I'll have it on the screen. Pause the video first, try the problem, and then start the video again to check your work. We know the percent is 54%, so we write that as a decimal 0.54. Of the seats, and we're trying to find the total number of seats on the plane, we don't know how many seats there are. That's our whole. That's going to be our n. The part is 81 because there are 81 seats empty. To solve this equation, we're going to have to divide both sides by 0.54. 81 divided by 0.54 is 150. So there are 150 total seats on the plane. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. Remember to write a question down that we can discuss in class tomorrow. Try quick check number 2 on your own. 27% of 60 is what number? Our percent is 27%, so we write that as 0.27. Our whole is 60 because that follows the word of, and we don't know the part. So we have 0.27 times 60 equals n. 0.27 times 60 is 16.2. So 27% of 60 is 16.2. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. Remember to write a question down that we can discuss in class tomorrow. Number 3. It rained 75 days last year. About what percent of the year was rainy? Try this problem on your own. Here's a hint. You have to know how many days there are in a year. We're trying to find the percent, so that's going to be our variable. There are 365 days in a year, so that's our whole. And then our part is 75 days. We need to rewrite the n times 365, so it should be 365n equals 75. We divide both sides by 365. 75 divided by 365 is 0.20547945205479. Remember, this is the decimal form of the percent. So we need to move our decimal point 2 places to the right and put a percent sign at the end. So we have 20.547945205479. And then we're going to round this to the nearest whole percent. So 20.5 rounds to 21%. So it rained 21% of the days last year. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down the notes. Remember to write a question down that we can discuss in class tomorrow.